Hi, it's week 5 of the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast. And coming up today, we're going to talk about the first preseason game. Get you ready for the second preseason game. Luddy's not here, but he's on the show because he's stuck in an airport. Well, we kind of knew he'd be traveling. Sam's here. Let's get the show started now. That is Sean before he tightened up everything. He trimmed the beard, got a haircut.
Long
Yeah.
That's the like castaway Sean Shapiro. I'm not sure that Craig Ludwig is making an appearance over the weekend at Penguins training camp, but he will be in the same city as Joe, and they may even bump into each other.
He'll be at a bar nearby. Does Sam know who? Do I have to try to say the name?
You have to read this. It's a super chat.
Does Sam know who? Oh, I just saw how to pronounce it too. Shohei.
There's no
Shohei?
way this is real.
Is it Hay? No, Shohei, right?
You have got to be doing a bit. You always need more goaltending.
Except for cake. You can have too much cake sometimes. It makes you feel a little gassy.
I can't believe that got brought up just now. By the way, cake is wonderful. It is Monday, September the 23rd, and this is the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast. We have been doing this for almost a month. This is actually the start of week 5, but who's counting, really? Alongside Sam Nessler, and over there, but he's really way over there, it is Craig Ludwig from, I would say, parts unknown, but we know that you're still in Pennsylvania. Luddy, how'd your weekend go at the big USHL Showcase tournament that you guys went to?
I got to say it was, I don't want to say better than expected. I think with any team, you're always hoping that you see improvement from day to day and practice to practice and game to game. And we're seeing that. So all in all, we had a pretty good weekend. I mean, the first weekend we played, we didn't have a sniff at winning a game. This weekend we went 2-2. So a little bit of progress.
Are you happy that you guys had so much success, or as a coach, do you want those teachable moments to be early in the season?
Oh, we have plenty of teachable moments. So I'm up till at least 2 in the morning, and then I get up again about 5. And you're watching video and you're trying to put certain clips together so you can show them in the morning before you take off or on the bus. Actually, I had to do a couple on the bus. We had about a 30-minute bus ride to one of the rinks, and so you bring little groups of 3 or 4 up and show them some things, and you hope it sticks there for the game. And you know what? There are things that are sticking. So, it's all about repetition. So we're gonna just keep pushing forward. What do I think about Dumba's wearing the number?
I was wondering. If you see it.
I might as well get to that one. You know what? When I was watching the game the other night, I looked at it and I went, wait a second. So you know what? That 3 isn't the slowest Dallas Star anymore, is it? Probably the first thing you guys want to say. I'll be honest with you. I liked him. I liked him in the game. It didn't seem like he played a ton. I don't know if that was by design or if that was just me seeing that. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but no, I liked what he did. He moved the puck. He bumps into guys. He sticks his nose in there. And I think we've said this all along. Everybody hates him because of the hit on Joe, right? Oh, ding. On Pavelski. But, he, like I said, we've compared him to other players that we've all played against at times, and you hate them when you play against them, but you find out you love them when they're on your team. So hopefully that's the case here in Dallas.
Yeah, I think one of the things fans brought up is like a lot of people say, there's the levels for fans. There's the people who are, I'm never going to root for him. Then the people that he's a star now, so I'm going to root for him. And then there's the middle where it's like, I don't like him yet, but I know as soon as he stands up for one of our young guys, Wyatt Johnston or something like that, then I'm going to like him. And he actually did. Bichsel was in a little bit of a kerfuffle after a play in front of the net, and Dumba came right in and just got right in the face of, I think it was Buchnevich of the Blues. So you see it already in the preseason. Not that Bichsel needs somebody necessarily to stand up for him, but I think that's a line that'll get a lot of fans to like him as soon as he steps up for those guys.
Well, let's talk about the first preseason game that happened on Saturday night at American Airlines Center. Stars against the St. Louis Blues. Both teams played pretty young lineups. We expected this, and I thought you shouldn't be surprised about this at all, but I thought it was interesting last week when Pete DeBoer said the early games in training camp, the lineup belongs more to the GM. The closer you get to the end of training camp or preseason, the lineup belongs a little bit more to the head coach. So, Luds, from a coaching perspective, knowing that you are going to have a pretty youthful lineup in the first game, what did you think about the way the Stars played, and what are the front office guys and coaching staff looking for when you have a lot of prospects playing, not a lot of NHL veterans?
I would say that management and coaches were very pleasantly surprised with what they saw in that game. I mean, I thought it was a good game. I thought the guys that the young players that had an opportunity to get out and show what they can do, they all did that. I know you guys were probably talking about number 6, and I loved him too. So I thought he did what as expected, kind of as advertised. And, you know, we talked about that when I think it was Sean that reported he didn't really have a great couple games in, you know, when they were at camp last week. But it's nice to know that a player like that's, you know, that young at 20 years old, I believe he's 20 years old, and he can, you know, maybe not have a poor performance, and then you kind of put it in the rearview mirror and then get on a bigger stage where you've got, you know, some fans and things like that. And he played well. And the other guy that, I know we're not calling him a young player, but Jesus, Stankoven. I mean, he's going to very quickly become everybody's favorite player because Sam, he's got a motor on him and he doesn't stop.
Yeah, that Marchment, Bork, Stankoven line was by far the best in the game. I think Stankoven had 9 shots in the game.
Yep, officially with 1 block.
Yeah, and it looked like they just had, every time they had the puck, we asked them about it after the game, like, they just don't stop moving. It's like, especially Stankoven, his legs are always going. Bork jumped right on with that and was quickly going. Marchment was driving the net and creating some chaos and constantly on the ice or getting in some sort of pushing match, which is very Mason Marchment. But I think that those guys are exactly what you said, Luds. They have a motor, and they were nonstop going. And he said it would have been good to crack one and get a goal, but a lot of things to like from that line overall.
Yeah, Sam, I didn't have a chance to hear it. I know Pete does post game stuff. Did anybody, or did you even ask him? Did anybody ask him about Stankoven? Did he have any opinion on it, or just kind of slid by him?
Yeah, no, he was very quick to just say that anybody we asked him, he said pretty much the whole group was good. He didn't really pick out, even when I asked him about Bichsel or anything like that, he was just loved the energy of the group. I mean, Luds, correct me if I'm wrong, that was a much more physical game than you normally see in a preseason opener. It felt like NHL intensity at times, and I think that was the part that Pete liked the most, was that everybody brought the energy. Didn't feel like it was just a training camp. Let's just see how it feels. There were tons of special teams. I think the power plays were like 0 for 8 combined. But it was a high energy game. But he definitely said he liked that line a lot. He just didn't really dive into specific players.
I think from a coach's standpoint, and I'm sure what they talk about is they loved it. Like you said, they love the energy of the game and the pace of the game. And preseason games aren't always like that. And I think what you saw some young players that weren't just dipping their toe in the water. They were coming out to make an impression. And I think they all did that on both sides. I mean, I thought some of the Blues guys were good too. It was a really good hockey game. It was a competitive hockey game. So I would think that they come out of that going, B+ for what they saw. I don't, and again, it's hard to kind of pick it out when you're watching it on TV and stuff like that. But you didn't see any guys that didn't seem like they were involved in the game. They didn't seem like there was anybody lagging behind. Like I said, I thought it was a real competitive game for game one, and for a lot of guys, their first preseason action.
Lud, you mentioned Matt Dumba and saying, I didn't notice if he played that much. So I'm looking at his final stat line, 21 minutes even. He had 3 minutes on shorthanded time, minute 20 power play, 2 shots. 1 shot was blocked. He missed 5 shot attempts. How about that? Is that a good sign that he didn't necessarily always stand out? There were a couple moments where he went for a hit or got in a guy's face, as Sam mentioned, but 21 minutes and you thought he maybe didn't play much is pretty good for a guy that's not going to be Miro Heiskanen.
I go back to a coach that told me a long time ago, and he, and it was in Montreal, and it was like, you know what, when we're not talking about you, that's a good thing. and just because of the style, and again, you wouldn't say that about a Jason Robertson or a Wyatt Johnson. If you're not talking about those guys, they're not playing as well, because you're typically always going to be talking to them because they're creating things that happen. So, but I think I don't know if Matt falls into that category, because he's going to be kind of a polarizing player at times, the way that he plays, in a good way, hopefully. But I think that when you can play 21 minutes, and again, when you're not there live and you're not paying attention to it, you just kind of see it on TV. You see what they're showing you. I mean, they're not following him around. You don't see. That's the one thing that I think that's what's happened in Dallas as fans. Over the years, is like they watch it on TV and this, and then when you go to the game, and all of a sudden you see, because unfortunately those cameras don't follow the things that typically happen behind the puck. And that's usually where the most entertaining part comes along. And that's going to be part of what Matt Dumba does. And he's going to be an agitator. And, hopefully he gets against those top lines if he has that opportunity, and get some of those guys off their game.
What do you think about Dumba?
I liked him. It's funny you mentioned that you thought he didn't play a lot, because I was talking to Robert Tiffin, and we both kind of said, have you seen Dumba in a little bit? So we again, same thing. We thought maybe he was missing a few shifts or didn't play a lot. But
what threw me off? The number 3. We talked about it a few minutes ago. I'm used to seeing him in a double-digit number with Minnesota. So to see 3, I had to double take about 3 times or 4 times before I even realized that was him.
Yeah. No, he looked good. One thing I know Luds will like, he does go no bucket in warmups. So that was nice to add to that quota.
Matt, when that rule, it wasn't a rule yet. There was a game. I didn't know who it was. Like, it was a preseason game, or no, it wasn't a preseason. My regular season, I think we were just getting started, and I had one of the little notes in my locker, and all it said, I don't know if I told you guys before, and all it said on there, how about a little solidarity? And I'm looking at it. First thing is, I didn't even know what the hell solidarity meant at the time, right? So I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the heck? Nice penmanship. And so after the game, I ran into Bob Gainey. He came down after, and he goes, "You get my note?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was you." And that's all it said. I didn't even know what it meant. But what he was talking about was how he wanted more guys to not wear helmets in the warm-up. Where guys, now they're all wearing them. I think most of them are, for the most part. But his feeling was, we're in Dallas, Texas. When you're wearing helmets, we're a new team. It's a little bit harder for people to recognize who the players are once they're off the ice. And he was trying to get people to know who the players were on and off the ice. And then we had one of the players that got hit in the face with a puck and broke his jaw. So anyway,
it's a balance.
Well, and I believe there are a couple of GMs in the NHL right now that actually mandate that they all wear helmets in warm-up, because for the simple reason of they don't want to lose a player to a game for a dumb reason, like he got hit in the head in warm-up with a puck. So I understand that, but you're right, Luds. It's always fun when they come out for the warm-up and you see the guys that are going with what we call the hair skate, and especially the ones, I don't know if they do it as much anymore, but back when you played, there were a lot of guys going to the hair dryer to really fluff up that hockey hair.
I was just going to bring that up. There are a couple guys, and you go walk. Everybody has their routines. You just kind of walk past the bathroom. You walk by, and you're like, "What the hell is that? Like, what are you doing?" Like, they're combing their hair, and and they got the gel in it and the whole thing. And played with a guy a long time ago. It was John Kordick, a really, really super tough player, and his hair meant everything to him. He had that big spiky hair. He was a big fan favorite in Montreal. A tough guy, one of the toughest guys that played in that time. So it was kind of funny at the time when the guys are all getting ready to go, and kind of like the antics that Tyler has with a couple players, the whole thing coming last off the ice and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember I went to a Stars game in New Jersey when I was can't remember what, I think it was high school. And James Neal and Mike Ribeiro came out for warm-up, and I just happened to be right by the tunnel there, and I was talking to them, and that you could just tell they knew that their hair looked good, and they were very excited about the girls that were looking at the hair. So some people still hold on to that, Luds.
And I loved it when they did the Jamie Benn 1000th game celebration, and the entire team came out with their hair combed and slicked just like Jamie. I mean, those are those little details that in a long, grindy season are really fun.
That's the thing about hockey and hockey guys. They know how to send a message. They know how to kind of rub it in a little bit, but they also know that it's a sign of respect. When you start emulating players and you're kind of copying them, it depends on the player sometimes. So Anyway, yeah, it's cool. I kind of miss a lot of that. I wish there was more of that back. But I totally agree with you. And there's no GM that's paying guys millions of dollars that want them to take one off the noggin, and warm up when it doesn't really matter.
Well, when was that rule? Because it's a rule now, right? That anyone under a certain age can't wear, or is that just the visor?
I don't know if it's a written rule or if it's a code of guys that can come out for warm up. I feel like they usually make guys that are older, but then there's also the ones where the rookie for his first rookie lap somehow just happened to lose his helmet and can't find it.
You know what? They all know it's coming, right? It's not even. I wish they start trying to do something else. Because it's like, okay, kid, just go. You know what we're going to do? Skate your lap. So, but again, for those kids, it's an important moment because it means they made it. So,
I saw this last year. What I do like is that one of the kids did a rookie lap, but the veterans, and it wasn't the Stars, it was one of the opponents, and I can't remember who it was now, but they had some patience, and so it wasn't just one. They had him out there for about 5-6 laps, and good on the kid because he went out there, shot a puck, did his little twirl, came back, saw that nobody, and just kept going and kept doing it. But they really made it uncomfortable, and that was pretty funny.
I'm waiting for some kid that's got the balls. He makes that first lap and they're not out there. He just skates right back off. Just skate right back.
Go sit on the bench.
Yeah, it is a rule. So anyone who joined the league after 2019 is required to wear a helmet during warm-ups. That's because I knew there was, because Bedard got fined last year when he went bucketless in his opening
there's
game.
There's some guys that are going to take a fine to do that.
Yeah.
Good for them. The ones that are making way too much money as young players.
We heard about Pat Verbeek's buying habits earlier. I'm sure these guys' contracts now, they can really do something crazy.
Yeah.
But before we get back into the preseason game, because we want to talk about Lian Bichsel or Bichsel, we'll get into that and some other topics. I thought we should touch on Casey DeSmith's performance in goal.
For sure.
But before we do, Sam wants to tell you about Sleeper.
Yeah, let's talk about Sleeper. Sleeper is the best fantasy football league out there. Simple as that. Put your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. I actually watched a little bit of football yesterday.
Come on.
Yeah, Chiefs Falcons.
That was the
Sunday
Sunday
a pretty
night
good game. Was it night? I thought it was the afternoon.
I think it was the night game.
Oh,
wasn't it?
I don't know. I lost track
was
of time.
Was it the afternoon game? I don't remember.
Yeah, but it was a good game.
That was last night.
It was
the
last
night.
See,
yeah, Chiefs won.
I don't know what your definition of afternoon is.
You literally made me question myself.
So.
I knew that was the late game.
Yeah, well, the Chiefs won. I know that. But tonight, there are not one, but two Monday Night Football games. Did you know that?
A doubleheader.
A doubleheader, some say. It is the Bills and the Jaguars and the Bengals against the Commanders, which is an NFL team, which let's not get too far into that. But I got James Cook going for over his 85.5 all-purpose yards and Joe Burrow to throw over 1.5 touchdown passes. Joe Burrow, I remember him from the LSU days.
I remember when Joe Burrow lost to the Patriots in week 1.
Yeah. Well, if you lose to the Patriots nowadays,
remember that Patriots win.
That's trouble.
Might be the last one for a long time.
With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. If you think you have what it takes, download the Sleeper app today and use the code DLLS Stars to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, of course, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to another recent Indeed survey. So the next time you need to hire, save yourself some of the busy work. Get yourself the best candidates by using Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Let's bring our buddy Luds back into the frame because, Luds, let's talk about Lian Bichsel. I'm not going to ask you about pronunciation, but I'm going to rant for just a second, and then I want you to tell me about his game. I was under the impression, and just like Sam made me question my knowledge of the Sunday night football game yesterday, I thought it was Lian Bichsel. And then we were hearing in the Victory Plus broadcast with Josh and Razor, they were calling him Bichsel. So I actually sent Sam on a homework assignment today and said, go find out if it's Bichsel or Bichsel and shoot a video. We'll play it on our show. Well, he's in the game group tonight, so he wasn't made available to the media.
He disappeared.
For Sam, or he disappeared, which is not easy to do for a guy that's that big. So we're going to have to put a little pause on, is it Bichsel or Bichsel or something else until hopefully tomorrow. But what do you think about...
I'm going with Bichsel.
You're going to go with Bichsel?
That's what I originally thought too, but then I heard Bichsel a lot more this summer.
We're going to figure it out, so there won't be any confusion. But what do you think of the big Swiss defenders play in Game 1 the other night on Saturday?
That's how you make an impression. When the game was over with, I went, the kid did exactly what he needed to do for the guys sitting upstairs looking at each other going, he just might be ready. But again, it's only Game 1. So, they're going to want to see more. They're going to want to see more in a real game. I'm sure he's going to get some games, once the season starts. I would think he would. But I think what he did is he played up to his size. And I know that was a topic. Big guys don't. I think was there a comparison to Hedman by somebody? Was it Razor?
I think Razor made it.
And I was thinking, unfortunately, Razor and I kind of think similar sometimes, but I was thinking, and I wasn't thinking.
You had to say unfortunately about that.
Well, no, because and that's because Razor is one that's the smart one, the intelligent one. So you're never going to hear Razor say Ludwig thinks like me, because he knows that's not how it is. But the reason I was thinking of Hedman is when you watch Hedman skate and play, forget how good he is, it doesn't look like he's going very fast. It's like this mountain that's moving very slow. And then when you watch, there was one play I think y'all were talking about where, he breaks up a play and he starts getting up ice, and it doesn't even look like he's moving fast, but he's moving away from people. And so he seems to have the speed for a big guy, what a big guy would have. You're not going to call him lightning like a Wyatt Johnson or Stankoven, but he's got some speed to get up the ice. He's like a tanker. Like a tanker moving up the ice. And then it was in front of the net. And I like his passes. The outlet passes are there. He didn't try to do too much. You find a lane, you put it in the lane and he's there. So, and like I said, what was going on in front of the net. And I think that when you got a guy that's that big, that young, and is standing in there and basically looking down and saying, no, you're not coming in here. From that standpoint, it reminds me a bit of Darian Hatcher. When Hatch was there, and Hatch made it known that, you're not messing around in this little area here. And I mean that area in front of the net, protect your goaltender and things like that. So everything that I saw, I didn't see a shift where you're like, oh, what was that play? I didn't see that. So very, very impressed with the first game that I've seen him play live.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I was posting about him the entire night. I think that's all the clips that I took from the game because
it was so much. It was getting a little weird for me.
Yeah, I figured, right? Yeah, but he, as Sean, a good way I was thinking about it is Sean said he didn't do himself a favor in Traverse, right? He didn't do what we thought he would do. He did that Saturday. He controlled the game. The one play that I keep going back to is when he broke up the 2-on-1. It was a turnover. I can't remember who turned it over up the ice. By the blue line, he had a great gap. He made a great play, stepped up, didn't even allow the pass or the thought of a shot before the guy could even make a play. Picked it up, controlled the puck, protected the puck, skated all the way around the offensive zone, and then found Logan Stankoven on a great cross-ice pass. It was just one of those plays where I asked Nazardine about it today. I was like, he just seems like he can take over a game, and that's exactly what he did. And Nazardine made a joke. He said, well, yeah, he can skate, he has great hands, and he's 6'6". So, yeah, that's the formula for taking over a game.
Well, and it seems like he's got the mentality that if something's going on, he's not afraid to step in there. Sometimes you don't have all of that. And you mentioned stick. It was the other thing that really stands out. And it's one of the things that we try to teach, or at least I work with the defensemen. And we got a couple D that are big, tall, they're not heavy. Unfortunately, they got to grow into their body yet, but they have that long reach and they don't use their stick enough because, you can deter certain players and offensive people that are coming down to you when you get that stick and they see that blade and they want to go away from the blade or they want to come underneath your stick and you just kind of hold your eyes. So I thought he used his stick really well too. Yeah, you got that long. We call it a long stick, and when for a big player that's got a long stick, anyways. That stick will be out in front. It gets there sometimes when you're trying to close down on people a second or so before you even get there.
Yeah, and it helped a lot on the PK too. He made a couple really good plays on that, especially on the high bumper spot. He was able to I mean, he's so tall that he's basically able to cover the back post a little bit at the bottom of that diamond and then rotate in just one poke, and he's in the high slot, which is pretty wild and could be super beneficial for them on the PK.
Lud, you mentioned Derian Hatcher, and the comparison because of the sort of meanness of his style is certainly obvious, I think, to Stars fans. But can teams take advantage of a young player that plays with that edge and try to kind of harangue him into getting into penalty trouble because they know he likes to play towing that line?
Yeah, but of course you can. And I guess we don't know that yet. We don't know if they're going to pull him into that. And I don't know. I think, and again, I think sometimes it's about what you have for teammates and players that you have that are surrounding him, and say, you know what, just stay out of the shit right now. Now is not the time. That will be the time, and don't let him drag you up. But again, it's part of the process too. And just listening to a small bit that I heard him talk, he almost seems like a quiet kid. And so sometimes when you can hear, and you've done it plenty of times, and Sam has too. When you guys are doing your interviews, you can kind of tell who's a little bit cocky sometimes, and then those are the ones I think that may kind of get enticed in some, and they drag them into those kind of things. So I think it's too soon to know what's going to happen in that department with him.
Yeah, he's got Sean said he has a little bit of that FU attitude, right? And that maybe that does lend into that. But it'd be interesting. I mean, a 20-year-old kid, it's hard to not get into some of that stuff. And maybe that's why Dumba skated over to take over for him on Saturday. But I do have a random question for you, Lud. So, and I think we talked about this one of the days at training camp. Bichsel is one of the only guys who wears a neck guard at training camp. I'm curious. We know the AHL is mandating neck guards for
it's required in the AHL
starting this season. So do you think that should be something in the NHL, Luds?
Well, I'm not playing anymore, so yes, I do. and well, I mean, we've seen how many things have happened. I mean, not a lot, but when you see it, as soon as the last casualty that happened, what was that, a year or so ago? I called Maxie, one of the guys from Bauer, the next morning, and I called Maxie and I said, I want 20 of those neck guards. And I said, I don't care if our players don't like them or not, they're going to wear them. And I think if you can get everybody started young enough, it just becomes a piece. It's like an elbow pad. You just put your elbow pad on. It's funny that you even bring that topic up, because last night at our game, we had a referee that stopped the play, I think 7 times to get players on the other team. Our guys had them to get their neck guards. And I mean, wow. And what it's supposed to be, apparently there's supposed to be a warning or something like that, then it's 10 minutes conduct. But he actually let them go off the ice and get it, and then come back on, and we didn't play during that time.
Stop the game?
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. They skated off, went into the locker room, and we just stood there like this. And
You're kidding.
He had to do it at least 5 players.
Wow.
So anyway, so to answer your question is, yeah, and I think that I think a lot of them now are probably wearing them anyways, so it's not going to be a big deal. It's like I said, it's just I think they should be wearing the Kevlar wristbands. I think they should wear the Kevlar on their ankles. Yep. All of those areas that are exposed, because there's a lot of padding and stuff now, but there's still some spots that are that you can still nick up. So, like I said, I would try to get them to jump into that whole thing as quick as I can.
Buddy, I noticed Yanni Hakanpää last year. We talked about it in the dressing room one day. He has a cut-resistant wristband with a really hard pad on the outside of it. And he said, because it was right around the time that I want to say it was around January of last year when that talking point had happened because of that unfortunate incident over in England. And he said that he started wearing them initially to protect against being slashed as a defenseman around the net. And then the fact that it was cut resistant was kind of a bonus to him. And now some guys do wear those little like wrist arm sleeves that are thinner, but still cut resistant. But he really liked that padding to protect He said all you got to do is get slashed once, and you don't want that to happen again. Did you ever wear anything to pad your wrists when you were playing?
Nothing. And in fact, my gloves had the short cuffs on them too. And you're probably going to say, why? You weren't dangling or anything like that. I don't know.
You didn't need any wrist access.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, I might as well been wearing handcuffs as well as I can handle a puck. So, but no, you know what? There are a lot of players, and I brought up Claude Lemieux before because Pepe was one of them kind of players that was that agitator. He looked like an armadillo out there, and he really did. He had padding all over his body. Now we're talking back in the 80s, in the mid 80s, and so he was kind of ahead of the curve, but he was that guy that went and took abuse in front of the net all the time, and he's a Hall of Famer because of it. But anyway, he started it for me, and then I think there were a few players that kind of came along, and that's that plaster. You'd kind of dip in, and you can mold it around your wrist, and and now a lot of them players are wearing the skate guards, the whole 9 yards. I mean, for defensemen especially, if you can't tell that they're there, why not wear them? I mean, and you can't sometimes, and they're clear, right? So you don't even know the player's got them on. So it's not like it's a target or anything like that. So I just think you might as well. And again, I would have never worn any of that stuff, and I didn't really know a lot of the players that actually did. But the smart ones now are all taking care of themselves.
It feels like Lud said it perfectly. It feels like it might just be it'll take some time, but it feels like eventually kids are just going to grow up wearing them, and by the time the NHL is these younger kids that are now wearing them, especially because the AHL now does it, it feels like eventually it's just going to become a mandate. But when you say the guy wearing padding all over the place, I just can't stop picturing the guy from Little Giants.
Oh yeah,
the kid when he wears that the whole tube or whatever, and it's like duct taped on. My mom says the pads you gave me weren't enough.
So, Luddy, I bought in January, I bought the Bauer base layer it's like a turtleneck with the neck guard attached to the shirt for both of my boys, and I got one for me. I figured, well, if I'm going to make them wear it, I might as well do it for my beer league games. And honestly, once you get used to not feeling in that section of your neck, that cold air, the breeze when you skate around, you don't even notice it. And it's the other material's really breathable. It's fine, right? You just get used to it. And I got the cut-resistant Bauer socks. I know they use the Swiftwick ones. The Stars do. Ever since I think Tyler had his Achilles cut, I think Denny had those in their dressing room stalls like the next day. And once you get used to it, it's just part of your equipment, right? You don't even notice it.
You're a bit of a sissy, aren't you, out there?
No.
You knew that was coming.
Yeah, but I mean, look.
You're safe.
Honestly, Luddy's right. Like the stuff there's areas of exposure. Last year in one of my older son's games, one of his teammates got cut under the pants. It's right above the knee on the thigh, but below the cuff of the protective padded pants. And he wasn't too serious. He was bleeding, and he had to come off and get treated. But that's one of those little spots that can be a problem. That those blades are really, really sharp.
The other thing, yeah. I mean, they're like razor blades. You know how it is when you're trying to just pull the little bit of ice off there, how many times you cut yourself with your fingers. But the other thing I've always wondered about, and when players have knee injuries and things like that, and they come back and then they get the Donjoy, I think they're called Donjoy knee braces, and they're light as a feather. And so they wear them the rest of their career. I've always wondered, like, why don't you just wear them? Like, why not put them on? If you don't even know that they're there after you wear them for a month or two, just wear them before you get hurt. I mean, would it prevent any injuries? So again, I know that there's players that are going to say, man, I can't skate like that. But you guys have no problem skating after you hurt yourself. And then you say, I'm not going out there without my brace on. So anyway, I just think it's an individual thing, but like you guys are talking about, eventually they're going to grow up with all this stuff, and it's just, you're not even going to talk about it anymore. It's just going to be part of daily life in sports.
Yep. Well, we may be called soft by Luds, and that'll probably be on a regular basis. But one thing that isn't soft is Rugged Road.
Oh, the coolers. Man, could I use one of them right now, too, by the way. And there's a spot right over here. I'm going to test it out. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear, it's built to accompany you on every adventure. One of the most unique features, though, of Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright. You never lose a drink. It never falls in the lake. It stays upright the whole time. None of that swamp water in your drink. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance, which we know how important that is. I got people looking at me and they got badges on right now, so I got to be a little bit more quiet here in the kiddie section where I am in the airport. Perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, from fishing and tubing to camping and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the code DLLS for 10% off.
Well done, Luds. We don't tease you as much when you're on the road for that, at least for the read. That was maybe your best one yet. So as I stall for time, here's Sam with FOCO.
Yeah, let's talk about FOCO. I'm making that their new
By the way,
slogan.
We give Luddy all sorts of crap for he can't read it. He got the word this to this. He didn't even have the read up. I was stalling so that Sam could get his copy in front of him.
Well,
so
I got
Luddy, you won. Sam 0.
I have to scroll down past this font 400 Rugged Road that's on my screen here. It takes me a long time to scroll down past that. Luds, let's talk about FOCO. FOCO is the best sports gear around. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. If you're going to a game, whether it's basketball, hockey, whatever it is, show off your love. They got team-branded friendship bracelets. No, Luds, we are still waiting on those. But whether it's jackets, beachwear, or even overalls, there's something for fans for almost every occasion. And they've been doing it since 1998. Owen, I was 6 years old.
Graduated high school, started going to college in 98.
I was going to games at the Shark Tank in San Jose. That's where I was. Casual collection, retro collection, old hats, NHL ugly sweater, pajamas, NHL Snuggies. I believe FOCO has our favorite bathing suit that we still are waiting for. That's going to get delivered any day here. There they are. That's Luds right there. The picture of Luds in the bathing suit.
Great tan.
They got set decorations. They've donated a few awesome pieces to our set. Go show them some love. Check out foco.com or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code DLLS10 for 10% off.
Well done. Let's talk
you.
a little bit more about the game, and then we'll do a little quick mini preview of tonight's preseason game, their first road contest at Colorado. Luddy, did you get a sense of Casey DeSmith? I mean, he's not a rookie. We've seen him in the NHL plenty, but what were your first impressions of DeSmith as a Dallas Stars goalie?
First word that comes to mind was calm. I didn't see any scrambling around. He just seemed to be where he's supposed to be. He's come in with, I think he got a glowing review from a lot of people that loved him when wherever he played before, as a player, as a teammate. And it just seemed like there was no chaos around him. And I think sometimes with new guys coming in, there's a little scrambling going on. He just seemed in control of himself all night long.
It's interesting you bring that up because Razor made a comment on the broadcast. You probably heard it, where he compared DeSmith and Wedgwood and said that DeSmith plays a lot more like Jake Ottinger, which is a little bit more technique positionally, using his angles. Wedgwood was more scrambly, but really quick side to side and kind of all hands on deck style. Look, we love Wedgie, but is having a guy like DeSmith a little bit more similar in style to Otter a bad thing?
No, you know what? I think you get used to who you're playing with. I mean, you know if you've got a goaltender that maybe moves the puck a little bit better than the other one likes to go side to side, likes to come out and challenge more. Does he talk or does he keep his mouth shut? And so I think they're all kind of different, but you get to know them over time. And I think that when you've got a goaltender that comes in that seems like he's low maintenance kind of guy, the way he plays, it's just so easy to adapt to him. You don't have to, it doesn't look like you're going to have to, or a defenseman's going to have to adjust their game to them, you know, and the way they handle the puck. Do they like to get out and stop it behind the net much? Do they want to bump it to you when you're coming back, or do they just like to get out of the way and you know, leave it so you can pick it up? Those are all things that's why the practices are there and the drills are there. And you're going to have, we have meetings even with our young guys where you're trying to bring the goaltenders in with your defenseman and know when you're going to start to give up some ice on a 2-on-1. And we get to a certain point, we want you to have the confidence to come out and challenge. Does that goalie want to challenge? You know, all those kind of things. It all goes into the preparation. And again, they're all professionals and they've gone through this for a long time. And so I think the chemistry, it seems to me the chemistry with a goaltender that's just a little more calm and quiet in there, it develops a lot faster than somebody that might be a little bit more running around and, you know, getting out of his net a little bit more often than others.
Yeah, he feels backup goalie is an interesting one, especially now. But it almost feels like off the ice is just as important as on the ice, right? His success with his starting goalie, and I know Demko was great with him behind him. I know Jari was good with him in Pittsburgh. Matt Murray was good with him. So he's had tons of success. The guys in front of him have tons of success, which I think is huge. And Jake mentioned immediately, it was like it took no time for us to just be joking. They played some golf together. He said he's a little quieter than Wedgwood, which doesn't come as a surprise.
Good laugh in the media room.
Yeah, it doesn't come as a surprise to anybody, but their chemistry is great on the ice. He's a very easygoing guy. I talked to him this morning. He's just super easy to talk to, and I think that's good for Jake to have. And we saw the success off the ice that Jake had with Wedgwood that helped Jake on the ice. But in terms of his game, Luddy said he was just clean. Like, I just felt like he just looked clean. He stopped all 14 shots. And he never got himself in trouble, and that wasn't because they weren't pushing. The Blues had some good chances on some of those. A couple of high bumper one-timers that he just...
Buchnevich had one.
Yeah.
I think Bolduc had a couple good looks.
Yeah,
and
he was just
calm. There was
calm.
never an instance, Luds, where DeSmith was in scramble mode to make that save. He was very positionally sound.
Yeah, and he put it right in the corner on his rebounds. He just looked very, very calm, very clean. I think that's going to be really good for this team going forward.
That's what I mean by easy to play with. That you kind of know when he's just right there, he makes the save that you expect him to make. He doesn't try to overhandle pucks. He doesn't do too much because those are the ones that you have to change your game a little bit for. Like, you're coming back and you kind of think it's going to be set up here, or where he's going to set it up behind the net. And when you got a busy goalie that likes to get out and do that, I remember, like Marty Turco. But the thing was like Marty, I treated Marty like I treated Zuby. Like, Marty can make a better outlet pass than I could. I'm like, Kurt, you get the puck. I'm just going to stay up here near the top of the circles. I'm not even going to come back and get it. And I even told other guys, I said, don't even come back and get it. It's hard for a forecheck with guys like that. I don't know how you want to come forecheck because there were teams that were trying to figure out how to play against Marty as a goaltender versus playing against other players. So I just think what it seems like to me with Casey is he's a pro, and he knows he's the older guy of the goaltender, been around. He knows his spot. He knows where he's going to be. How many games is he going to get in? 20, 25 games or whatever they decide to go with. And I think the relationship is more important between him and Jake than it is him and the rest of the team. As long as Jake is comfortable with him and vice versa, it's all going to be good.
And it's a good sign that seems to be working early because they did give him a 3-year deal, so he's going to be around for a while. As far as the goals, Kyle Capobianco and Colin Blackwell got the goals. Let's face it, guys. One was a shoot with a traffic in front, and it bounced off a couple of bodies and went off a St. Louis defenseman skating in. Yeah. Good play. Colin Blackwell, great hustle and shot. That shouldn't go in, right? That was a bad goal for the kid Ellis to allow, but nothing wrong with taking a shot. Maybe it goes in, right?
No, and they controlled play. It felt like it was just funny that you said that because they had so many chances that you thought should have gone in.
Were not the ones that went in.
Yeah, which was funny, but they definitely controlled a lot of the game. Especially, I think it was shots were almost 6 or 7-0 in the first handful of minutes, and then all of a sudden Dallas took over the game. But yeah, I thought that Blackwell goal, the only thing that was interesting about that was that Oscar Beck was causing some chaos behind Ellis. So maybe there's the distraction of a possible cross crease pass, but yeah, that should probably not go in.
Luddy,
the other thing, guys, that stands out for me when you talk about how the goals went in, one that shouldn't go in, one that kind of ping ball right, is like there's no celebration because there's some players that them lucky goals, they'll still give you the big celebration. I love it when young guys, they're like, I'll just take that and move on. I like that kind of stuff because everybody knows, like, dude, you shouldn't have scored the goal. It should have never went in. So save the celebration for something, incredible. So I love those that are like that.
I will give Capobianco a little bit of credit. He made a nice little pivot at the blue line, got rid of the puck, and got it back. So he made it was a good play leading up to it, but the shot was a little bit of a doinker.
I thought that Evgeny Dodonov had a really good game for me, and he should have. He was one of the more veteran guys on the ice, but he looked creative, and this is why having him potentially on your fourth line is such a balance, because he's good enough to be higher up the lineup. We talked about that with some other players that made their depth. Like Sam Steele could be a middle six forward for a lot of teams. Him centering your fourth line or Dodonov down there also gives you that balance. If you get a guy injured or suspended or whatever, unavailable, they can move up and serve well. And I thought Dodonov really set up some nice plays, and maybe if Stankoven finishes a little bit, there's a couple more points. But he looked like he was ready to start the season.
I just think since he's come here, before he came here, wasn't he on like 4 teams in 5 or 6 years, something like that?
He was always on those trade target boards every year.
And I just was like, man, what are we doing here? Like, is he going to fit in? And it's not like he's 24, 25 years old. But in my opinion, ever since he's been here, he's been a good player. I don't know if there's, and it seems like if he doesn't get a lot of minutes in the game, it doesn't affect him. He's like, okay, I'm here. This is what I'm here for. And then you can move him up. You can move him down. He skates. He takes pucks to the net. So I've been very happy with him. I got to believe that the coaching staff just loves it. He's almost like a utility guy. He's like that Swiss Army knife. When you can plug him in wherever you need him. What do you need? You need this. You need that. And if you don't need him, and he's only going to play 5 or 6 minutes a night, it doesn't seem to faze him. It's just like he's accepted his role on this team. And he wants to be part of winning a championship. That's the way I look at God.
Yeah, and he plays the same way. What I noticed on Saturdays, he's one of those guys that's going to do things that maybe a lot of people aren't going to do, is a good way to explain him. I think he's going to try to make that wild pass once in a while. He's going to throw the shot in the playoffs when he scored the low angle goal, right?
And I asked him after that, oh, you were just flinging it toward the net. He goes, no, I saw that hole and I was trying to score from there.
Yeah, he just seems like he thinks outside the box a little bit, even when he's playing on that fourth line. And like we've talked about a bunch already, that fourth line needs to also be able to provide some offense in Pete DeBoer's system. So I think that's great to have there.
Yeah, we're going
I think you've always heard throwing it to the net is never a bad play.
No, and we've seen some guys. I remember Vern Fiddler scored a really sharp angle goal. God, it was quite a few years ago now when he was still playing for the Stars, and he said, I was just trying to throw it toward the net. And so when Dodonov scored that goal it was literally the goal line extended in the corner, I go, you were just trying to cause chaos. And no. I literally saw it. I knew where I was, and I was shooting for that.
He put it there.
And that, I didn't doubt him either.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's right. Well, believe him. Let's talk about Colorado in just a second. But first, DLLS, the Die Hard program, we can't push it enough because there are a lot of really great features to help support our show and all of the DLLS shows, including the Cowboys, Mavericks, obviously the Rangers, and even TCU, which is going on right now. Well, you become a diehard, you can get merchandise, including a free T-shirt for your annual subscription. So each year that you sign up to be a diehard, you can get a promo code for a free DLLS T-shirt. That's already making a great value for your subscription because that's almost half of it right there. You also can do things like send super chats and be part of our Discord. You can do simple things. If you're, if you say the diehard might be a little tight on the budget right now, well, you could just like our video on YouTube or subscribe and leave a review. Get involved in the regular YouTube chat, or just spread the word and tell everybody about this big company known as DLLS, which is giving massive Stars coverage. Tell everyone, because the more we do, the more you tell everybody, the better it is for all of us.
Agreed.
All right.
DLS, one thing I want to say is you mentioned TCU. Did you see their game at all this weekend or hear about it?
I heard it on the radio as I was going to the FC Dallas broadcast.
So I checked it out because Leah was covering it for the morning news. SMU won 66-42.
Oof.
I mean, like, what is that? That's when you know your teams are really good at offense, and you're not a defensive powerhouse. But I know it's a rivalry, so TCU. Sorry about that.
Well, we'll get back on the rails here as the Stars play Game 2 of their preseason schedule. First road game of the exhibition run at, well, oh, look at that. Guy from DNVR is chirping us already.
He said good luck. He was very nice.
They're in Colorado to play the Avalanche, and the lineup looks fairly similar with a few changes. We won't see, as I think we all expected, no Mason Marchment tonight. He looked really good playing with the two little guys.
Yep.
And Stankoven and Bork, who were just
Was there any update on that shot he took?
Yeah, so the only thing was x-rays were negative. Pete said right afterwards, so he expects him to be fine. I did not see him in any of the groups today, but we didn't speak to Pete, so we did not get an update on that today, but he seemed like he was going to be fine.
So that's good in the long run, but he might have to take it easy for a couple of days. So there'll be a couple of additions and changes. Brendan Smith is going to be in. Ilya Lyubushkin, we'll see him play tonight. Also Christian Kyrou on the back end. The goalies will be Hellberg and Remy Poirier. So maybe Magnus Hellberg gets the start tonight. He was the one that finished the game for DeSmith the other night.
Yep, he'll play 2 periods.
Up front, we're going to get to see Artu Huru tonight, which I'm interested in. Wyatt Johnston is in, as well as Sam Steele gets his first game. What'd you guys think of, Oscar Beck? We've seen him for a couple of years. I thought Blackwell did well. We saw Emil Hemming for the first time, the first round pick. I happen to notice number 34, Cameron Hughes, an awful lot. And I don't know if that's just me, but I first, when I saw it, it was like, I don't know who that is. So I had to look it on the roster, and they went, I've seen Hughes. He was in the play a lot. And I going back to the game, I think a lot were. So we're going to talk about Colorado, so let's not derail it. What are you looking for tonight's game in this roster, and who's out there for game 2?
Yeah, well, Bichsel, again, I want to see, but let's just mention, we want to see more than just one, right? We want to see, can he build on that? What can he look like? Which I haven't seen Colorado's roster yet, but I'm going to guess it's probably somewhat NHL heavy. They're playing at home, so a little more than Dallas would be. But I want to see Matej Blumel. I don't think he was bad in the first game at all, but he had a few turnovers. He didn't control the puck and hold on to it like you normally see him do. And he mentioned today, I talked to him for a little while today, he mentioned how disappointed he was that he didn't get in the NHL last season. So I expect him to be better. And that's what I'm looking for. So the Huru, the Blumel, and then I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but I would love to see Johnston, Stankoven, and Bork together. I think that would be fun to watch.
I mean, that'd be a great line. I don't know if we're going to see them in the regular season to start. No. But Luds, anything in particular? What are you looking for from Lian Bichsel or Bichsel or whatever we're calling him?
All I would say is more of the same. For a young player, and you're playing on the road, sometimes players play a little different, than they do at home and on the road. I would expect him to probably play the same. I want to see R2D2 play. We've heard that, he legitimately could have a shot, and like we talked a couple of weeks ago, it's a Yuri Lettinen kind of recommendation. So anytime I hear that from Letts, I kind of know what kind of player to expect. So I would like to see that. But the most intriguing one for me is there's no question it's Bichsel.
Yeah, and he'll be playing with Lundqvist tonight, so that'll be an interesting pairing to watch. And then Elian Nazardine also talked about Lyubushkin and Smith being a potential pairing at the NHL level this year. So I think they're going to start together. And then the two youngsters, Kyrou and Bertucci, will be the third pair.
And I'll tell you, that Lyubushkin's another one, Sam. I mean, for me, because a lot of talk about, the penalty killing thing, and maybe that's the guy that's going to pick up the minutes that Hakanpää would have been there, and he's a big body. And I look for those guys. What I look for when I'm going to watch a player like that comes to the team that is new, it's more about how does he play in front of the net. I want to see what he does in front of the net, in the crease, when the shit show comes there. Yep. And how does he move people away from the goaltenders and kind of make a statement. And that's kind of his MO, and that's what he does. He's got good size, and I want to see that he uses it, and because I can see, again, Bichsel, when you look at the size that he is, the way he played the other night, Lyubushkin, you got Demba. So in my opinion, what's been missing from that defense core is a little bit more grit, and where people don't want to come to the front of the net and stand in front of your goaltender.
And they found it seems. I mean, just one game in, but then looking at the players that we've seen, and that's why Lyubushkin will be fun to watch tonight. But it feels like they really found that. I mean, Bichsel and Dumba were in command around their own net in that first game, and I think that Lyubushkin, I have no reason to expect he won't be the same. So I think that they have not solved that problem, but they definitely brought in some people to address it.
I'm just looking at the Avalanche lineup tonight. We're going to probably see Justus Anunen, who's their Finnish goalie, who he was backing up Georgiev during the playoffs. Mm. I saw him play some AHL games against the Texas Stars, and I really was impressed with him. Pretty young lineup, kind of like with the Stars in Game 1. They do have one of the cool ones in Ivan, who's a pretty good player, Jean-Luc Foudy, and Joel Kiviranta will be playing tonight, but none of the big guns for the Avalanche are playing tonight, as you would expect for an early preseason game.
So we expect a hat trick from Kiviranta?
I mean, sure.
Seems
logical. When you played, what were preseason games, what do they mean to you, if anything?
Just to work up a thirst.
And not to get hurt, right?
No, you know what? I think I was not taught reminded of that early and don't go through the motions. You go through the motions, that's when you're going to get hurt. And so if you're going to play the way you're going to play. And to be honest with you, I had to put a good showing out there, whether it was preseason or regular season game. I said it before, I played all my games to try to make sure that my name was on the board in the morning for the next game. So, I think as you get older, and, they always say, the older guys I only want to play 2 games or 3 games, whatever it is. I just looked at it as, man, then if I'm only playing 2 or 3, that means there's 4 or 5 other games that somebody can show that he's better than I am. So I would prefer that you get me to play and, give me an opportunity to stay there. So I just think that if you're going to play in the preseason games, and the veterans nowadays, you go to them and ask them, you're going to ask Jamie Benn, like, what do you want to play? You want to play 2-3 games? You want to play the last game? What do you want to do? Just approach it and make sure that you're playing the way you normally would, and you don't just take a half a shift off, because you just know when you're playing against some other kids from another team that are trying to make a spot and they're trying to make an impression, they're the ones that you got to worry about. And if you're not 100% there, they might be one of them that said, hey, they I took that guy out, or a big hit on that guy, and that's the last thing you want to have happen.
So I ask you both. I keep asking Luds because he's the only player on our roster. I mean, obviously we play, but nothing anywhere near to the level you did.
I was close.
Is it unrealistic of me, or is it too impatient that I'm already ready for the regular season after 3 days of training camp? Uh-oh, is he frozen?
Oh, he looks frozen. Or he's just really angry.
Luds did text me a couple minutes ago and said, battery dead, and then a word I can't say anymore.
Yeah, it looks like he's...
So
all right.
I think we've lost him.
We've lost Luds. Okay, ask me.
Well, I'll ask you this.
Only a few minutes.
Now I can definitely say I'm a player. Luds isn't on here
Personally, I watched the first preseason game. It'll be fun to go to a couple more in person. I couldn't go to that one because I had an FC Dallas game on Saturday night. We'll
big win.
Wednesday and Friday. Big win up in Frisco. And I'm genuinely interested in seeing the players we talked about, and we'll talk about it tomorrow on our show and get ready for the ones. I think a lot of players want to get their game ready, and they know they need them.
Yeah.
But you go through a camp, and training camps are long, and you get okay. We had a couple days. This is great. Let's get the game started for real.
Yeah, I think that there's been a lot of talk about that over the last few years of shortening the preseason overall too, and for good reason. I think that what do they play 7,
6 or
6
7
games? It just feels like a lot. I know you have a lot of guys where they have 58 guys on the roster, so you have guys that you want to get into games.
And I don't want to take that away from those players because that's a big experience.
But tell me they couldn't do that in 5.
Maybe.
First 2, 3 is really heavy, and I don't think a lot of NHL guys need more than 2 games.
I think it's a me problem. I think I just have to deal with it.
Could be
because I know we all get excited after about 2 or 3 games of the preseason. Go, all right, let's go. I mean, we talked about it in the NFL too. Mm-hmm. They're talking about shortening it for the same reason. No matter how long training camp would be, you're going to get tired of watching them do drills at some point. You want to see them play real meaningful games.
Yeah.
And so it was fun to be there in Frisco, watch them the first couple of days and do some scrimmage stuff. And then you got a game. And now, all right, let's go.
It is.
And I know they need more than that. I'm already starting to feel the itch of let's get real games started. We have to wait till October 10th.
Yeah, well, there's
September 23rd.
I know. There's 2 things with that make sense too. I like that the NHL, for the most part, smashes those games together. Like the Stars play 4 games this week, and then 1 more next week, and it's done. So at least it's not 7 games over like a 3-week span that really makes it feel like it drags out. But I also know that NHL teams want that too. A lot of guys, they're saying, all right, give me a game, let me get ready to go, let me play. But it's just a balance. I think they'll find that, but it'll be fun to at least there's storylines, right? It's terribly boring when we already know that
we need to have some things to talk about between now and the start of the season. It's just that we're talking about 2.5 weeks between now and when they really get going, and we're already champing at the bit a little bit.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Luddy about the Utah goal. We were going to do a quick NHL news and notes. Matthew Frankie said, "I already have a charger nearby, Luds." Yeah, I know. Thanks, Matthew. Trust me, he can have one nearby, and he still won't use it or plug it in.
He's usually got it over here on our producer's desk.
So, hold on. Luds is calling back. Want to check in with him?
Yeah, let's see if he's still there, because I do have a question for him if he's still on. There he is. Yeah.
All right.
So, Luds, you froze on us. But
look at, see the little playground?
Did you stop to go sit in the play area?
Yeah, the little playroom I'm in.
I love it. Is it okay to be frustrated that you want training? Like, I want training camp to be done with. I want games to start now. I know they need it, but I'm ready for real meaningful hockey already.
Oh, yeah. It's been one game, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
You were so selfish. Well, that's because we want to see the real thing. We want to see the real, what we've got for a lineup. I think we expect it all to be up and running, and it's not going to be. There's going to be some bumps, and there's going to be a couple new parts in there, and but I think it's going to be another high octane season from this group.
Yeah, I think the other thing I was going to say, Owen, is it's such a long season that like knowing that we're doing all this and it hasn't even chipped into the 82 games is probably part of that.
Fine.
Part of that.
But I'm ready to go. Yeah, we've done a month.
Isn't this kind of like? Hey, this is kind of like preseason for us. Like we've been doing this now for what, 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it is. Seems like 3 months. Like we want something real to talk about.
I think that's part of it too. Hey, before we go, one quick NHL news and note. The Utah Hockey Club played its first game. They played the St. Louis Blues in Des Moines, Iowa, which was a little weird because, it's not. Anyway, that's beside the point. But they scored their first quote-unquote goal because of an own goal from the other end of the ice on a delayed penalty call. I've seen that happen with the Stars. The most recent one I remember was Yuri Hudler against Ottawa a bunch of years back. I remember with the Texas Stars, they actually were in Hamilton playing the Montreal AHL affiliate at the time on a power play, about to go on a 5-on-3 with the puck behind Hamilton's net, and the pass went back to the point, hopped the defenseman's stick, and went all the way down the ice and went into the Texas net. Luds, do you have any that come to mind of friendly fire on an empty net?
No, there was a lot. I scored a lot of goals on our own goalies. That's part of trying to block as many shots as you possibly can. And it's funny, like I was talking to our guys on the bus the other day, and I said, you know what, the goalies, I said, if there's 10 shots and you save 7, 8 goals, I mean, they're like, oh man, thanks, lad, thanks, man. And it's that one goal that goes in, and like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing that for? Like, really? Have you forgot about the other 9 or 10 that didn't go in the net? So it just comes with the territory. I mean, as long as you're on the right end of doing things, that are staying out of your net more often than the other. Fortunately for me, I don't think anything went in off of me or somehow that I was part of in a playoff game. It's just one thing for a regular season. The playoff ones always stick with you more, obviously, when it's not good.
I did like that St. Louis on Twitter or X said, congratulations to Utah on their first goal as a franchise, with a clip of that.
They were ready for it.
They
right
were
away.
ready for that. And then they put Utah scores their second empty netter of the game.
They were sharp. That was solid.
That was funny, but that's a tough way to do it. I think Malmstrom, I don't know how to say his name. I think he was officially credited with the first goal against Utah history.
It's crazy, right? It was Anton Malmstrom officially credited with the goal.
That's rough.
And they were congratulated. Doesn't really count. It's preseason. Wait till the real games start, but it should be fun. Well, Luds,
they ask you how many.
That's right. You're going to get on a plane, and we should see you. Yeah, look, there we are. Oh, we've got the Mike Modano locator today.
Up there.
So, do we think Joe is still here?
I don't know if
think
he's
Joe's
still here.
Still in Texas, but
he left last night.
There you go. See.
Well, until we have confirmed reports of his whereabouts, the pin stays where it is.
We need to put a
go.
tracker in him.
If he posts himself in a
his
Penguins
pants.
hat in a different state, then he can.
Maybe
that was a funny surprise.
Maybe the next time we see him, he'll be sitting up next to Jim No.
Maybe not with a Penguins hat on.
Wearing a Golden Knights hat.
Hopefully not.
Luddy should be here, actually over there, tomorrow, and then he's off to the races again. He's got a busy week. We're going to have remote Craig Ludwig a lot this week.
He's a busy guy.
We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 2 o'clock Central Time. We will talk about the game tonight.
Victory Plus.
It'll be
tonight.
on Victory
I'm excited
Plus.
for that with Sevi and B-Ray.
Oh, yeah,
Just
they're doing
the Manning cast
sort of
is how they're
similar,
looking
like,
at it.
watch along. Your old teammate Brad Lukowich will be one of the guests tonight, along with Razor.
Hope he has his marbles out of his mouth so he can get a sentence out once in a while.
I love it. I've done some games with Luco when he was filling in for Bruce on the radio side. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Excited to watch that.
All right, boys. Good stuff today. We'll be back tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central Time, for another edition of the DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. For our producer, John Anderson, for Craig, for Sam, I'm Owen. Thanks so much for joining us. So long, everyone.
It's Molson.
We all silly like the mayor.